right. So yeah, let's just dive straight in. Check in. Busy time, of course, when we're in that long and winding road to a build of a release. But we start off simply, and we'll start off checking in on how you're doing today. How are you?
I'm good. Good weather here. I'm fine.
I'm in Scotland actually, um, visiting my family.
Oh,
Indeed, and you will not believe it, but the sun is shining. There is no rain. There's been no rain all day. That is an exception, and I'm not freezing.
you are right. That is very hard to believe because I'm in England and it's sunny here, but we expect that. It's in Scotland. Wonderful. Oh, that's nice. I'm glad you've got a nice day.
Yeah, we're kind of in the finishing stages of we've got the release coming up. We're all excited. The album's coming up. A lot of social media, a lot of interviews, a lot of rehearsals, and yeah, excited for what's to come.
Hell yeah, we are we are now less than a month away from the release of the new album, Back from Hell. April 25th, 2025, via Century Media Records. Of course, long and winding road to release, so much work to be done, so much work already done, but still so much to do. So let's start with you, Mark. Have you been enjoying the build to the release? This long build, have you been enjoying it? What have been some of your favorite things to do this time around?
You mean writing the songs?
No, I
Um,
mean the build period. So you've handed it in. It's ready to go, and you've just got to wait now to release. So obviously that involves doing videos and PR or marketing and all that stuff from that section of things.
uh, Sorry, then I think I misunderstood the question. So if what I enjoyed the most of that?
Yeah, over that period of this particular build period, all those things you
Ah,
have to do.
um, yeah, of course, I like to talk to journalists because it's always fun and interesting to hear what other people think of our work, of our music, you know, because journalists get it first before fans, obviously. And it's always interesting to see what they think and how they approach and if yeah, what they think in general about it and get some feedback. And this is, I think, for me, one of the favorite things. Yeah, I'm not
Yeah.
the most social media type of person. Of course, I'm trying, but it's not my favorite thing.
Yeah, it's funny. Like I think like the anticipation coming up after the album's handed in, and God, did we hand in our album bang on time? We extend the deadline, stuff like that. It's like we went through a whole other new mixing process, remastered everything. Mark remixed everything. We're sitting here, damn proud of an album. And likewise, Mark, it's fantastic to listen to journalists talk about it because it's nuts because we of course we can't wait for everyone to listen to it and it's just like so it's an exciting time
Yeah.
and a lot of anticipation.
Yeah, it is. There's so much to do, and it gets to the point right at this stage where you are within the month of release that you kind of just want it out. But obviously, as well, we drip feed content. We've had a great response to the singles released already. Forget the journalist side of things, just the general people who are listening to it. And from I was a happy kid once, Echoes, Guilt Trip, the title track, all of this it's gone down really well. Just looking through the comments and things like that. So. Does the positive response to those singles kind of help relax you, ease your mind as to how you think, well, okay, the full thing is going to be received pretty well? What do you think, Mark?
Um, yeah, I mean, of course, it's great to see the reactions of fans and stuff like that, and and yeah, it maybe take a bit of the pressure off. Also, like you mentioned, especially because I'm particularly not as happy with the previous album, so it was cool to see. But in general, I have also to say that I mostly in the very first thing I'm writing the songs for myself or not or for us. Like I think that I or we have to be happy with it because we have to live with them. We have to present them live. And
Yep.
for me, it would be if somebody would say, "Hey, you can be more successful if you make this and this and this and this," and then I would hate it. I wouldn't do it, because then I
Ooh.
wouldn't be behind it somehow. Like I have to be 110% about behind the material we are releasing, you know. So even though if the fans would hate it now, obviously I hope they don't, you know, I would be still more happy about this album than about the previous one. Even though if the people that said, "Oh, Dystopia was so great," and I hate Back from Hell, I would be still more happy about Back from Hell, you know, because from my perspective, you know. But obviously, the fans, I'm really happy that the fans like it as well, because um, I think that people can hear that it's like a very honest, straightforward album, and that there's a lot more work and heart in it than the previous release.
Iain, considering Mark doesn't really care for social media, do you find yourselves trawling the web, the deep parts of the web, to read these comments and reactions to the single so far?
I am very humbled and honored by the comments many people make. It's been an incredible time to be able to interact with all these fans and speak to all these people and read all the reactions, and watching like reaction videos, and you know the writing process for this album was very, very intense. So of course we're very sensitive to what people are going to say about it, and it's just been overwhelmingly nice and positive, and people are talking about the metalcore word, and it's like, oh, I remember, of course, the metalcore, and it's like, metalcore is back, let's do it, and it's been great. And what's also been great is we've been getting response a lot from many bands that Caliban's toured with over the years as well. There's been people reaching out to us, on Instagram and stuff like that, going like, yeah, this is cool, and there's people of the likes of Jacoby Papa Roach, or there was a message recently from Bleed From Within. There was a message from Bleeding Through. There was messages from Scott Ian from Carnifex. All sorts of people reaching out, and it's just been really nice to feel like we're set here to release a great album. So yeah, there's a lot of happiness and pride within the group, and it's been a great time.
Long may that continue. Still got weeks to go before we get to that all important. It's out in the world, and there's nothing more you can do except watch it totter off and live.
Watch the damage be done.
Heavier, darker, and definitely more emotional. This record, to me, is an album that you feel, that we listeners feel, and it's clear you poured a hell of a lot into this. So let's talk vision. Mark, did you have a clear idea of what you wanted to do with this record when you first started work?
Yeah, like I briefly mentioned before, I wanted it to be very straightforward, not too playful, more to the point, more aggressive, and focus on what we can do best and stuff. And I think it has a lot of like this kind of like a bit of a hardcore-ish vibe to it. Also, the old school metalcore had its way in there, and of course some modern influences as well. We developed throughout the last couple albums and years, but yeah, we just wanted, or I just wanted to have like a really straightforward, heavy, also catchy kind of album, like songs, like and that was the first idea to start, because I thought, okay, man, the last album sucked, at least in my opinion, so it can be done a lot better. That's not worth of the name Caliban to me, if I want to say it that way. And we can do that better, and I want to make it better, and I want to make it like 100% better or 1,000% better. So that wasn't a that's also why it took so long, because usually the writing process of an album for us is like, instrumental wise, 3 to 5 months, and then of course the final tweaking and stuff like takes some time with the lyrics and vocals, blah, blah, blah. It takes a bit more time. But this time it was really working on it for like 2.5 years, pretty much. I would say 2.5 years work on it, you know, not like taking a break for 3 months and do this and this and go on tour, go this, do this, go on holiday. It was really work on it like all the time. This is also why we started releasing singles kind of early, because Happy Kid is out for like 6, 7, 8 months. I'm not sure 100% how long. Because that was one of the first songs which was completely done, and we wanted to have a sign of life. Hey, that's what we are coming back with. So prepared, and then, you know, continued working on. Of course, we had more done at that point than just one song, but not 100% finished things. And it still took like until beginning of January until we handed in the final masters of all the tracks. So it was very, very late.
What was that though? Was it just you were just constantly changing things, evolving, you were finding new ideas, fresh creative directions that you meant it just held you back a little bit?
Sorry?
But you said it took so well, the length of time it took.
Yeah.
Like why this time do you think it took so long? Was it simply that you were in such a creative place that there was so much stuff coming to you that you were constantly playing around with it?
Yeah, I mean, we wanted to treat every song as it is, it would be as a potential single somehow, you know, like each song has somehow a potential pretty much to be released as a single, at least in our opinion, I think. And yeah, we didn't take any chances. Like it was like until everyone was like 100% satisfied, we continued working on it. You're like, of course, sometimes in a band, not everyone agrees. You know, like you have songs, somebody likes it better than others, you know, but this time it was like nobody was really letting it go until everyone was happy, you know, 100% happy with something. Like it's not like, yeah, the song is cool, the lyrics are cool, the vocals are cool, but the breakdown at the end could be better. But if you guys like it, okay, we didn't do that. You know, it's like no. If not everyone is happy with every single part, we continue working on it. It was somehow a pain in the ass because taking very, very long sometimes. Some songs were evolved, like had like demo stages of like 8, 9, 10 different versions until we finally settled on something. But that's why, because we said no, we're going to work on it until we are 100% happy with each single detail. And maybe it was too much, I don't know, maybe we should have let it go a bit earlier, but I think we made the right choices, I think.
Yeah, we had quite an interesting development of it because everyone had the mindset of doing things differently. And what came out in the end is bizarre, really, because everyone achieved making the best of what they could do to contribute towards this album. You know, if it was Marc remixing and trying new stuff, and it was changing top lines, changing hooks, if it was changing arrangements of songs because we felt, we can improve this. We really gave every song the attention it deserved. And that's why we came out with this album now that like feels like it's worthy of you know, there's so much attention being put in it, there's so much honesty, there's so much, the lyric world itself is like, it's brutally honest. And that's how an album should be in I think every one of our eyes. So we're very happy that it came out that way, but we were all a pain in the ass. Like I think me and Marc were probably both the biggest pains in the ass, probably to each other as well. But of course, all for the greater good.
Well, all that work, I mean, still an incredibly exciting period of time. You can reflect on and think, oh my God, was it too much? Or you know, we were pain in the ass to each other and stuff like that. But ultimately, it was an incredibly exciting creative period for you, right?
Yes.
Yeah, definitely. Because it was different than usual. Because we all wanted somehow the best album possible, but we all had somehow different approaches and we had to bring them together somehow, you know? And I think because we had to make compromises and discuss things, how we do them, made the songs special somehow, you know, because I had a vision for a song, Iain had a vision for a song, maybe Andy had a vision for a song, and we had to somehow bring those together somehow, you know, and it was not easy, but I think that's what makes it also special somehow.
Kind of how introspective did you get at times? Like, did you spend much time kind of looking at the past of Caliban as a way to kind of go, okay, look, this was last album or whatever, X amount of releases ago, but what we were doing, it was good. Can we bring that back? And how do we evolve that? And where are we now? Those kind of things.
For my part, maybe Iain answers first.
Well, there's a general mentality that I could, reflect upon that happened during this writing period, which is that what with this attitude of trying and attempting to reinvent yourselves, there was reflection through the past of Caliban's previous releases. There was a bit of a reinvention, but also quite a big movement of back to the roots and where can we touch on inspiration from old stuff that can somehow be reinvented and worked into a new sound, staying true to the Caliban formulas, but also adding new perspective into the guitar world, into the drum scenarios with how tricky are things to play, how straightforward are they. There was a lot of like radical cuts made when things got too complicated. We'd simplify things, thinking, well, maybe that's going to improve space for the vocals. Who knows? I mean, I grew up listening to Caliban, right? So of course I have this unique perspective where I could say, do you know what? There's bits of this that this is cool,
Yeah.
So we've kind of developed a bit of a time traveling hybrid of old and new, and an amalgamation of the old and the new. That with all this new ambition to make things heavier and more precise and on point, has really worked out really well for us.
Well, how experimental were the early kind of writing days of this for this album? The experimentation that you were finding you were doing. Of course, Caliban has a sound, has a style, and it has evolved, and you as an artist continues to evolve. But yeah, so those sort of early writing days, how experimental did you find yourself being?
I think this album hasn't been really experimental at all, somehow.
No, it hasn't. It's the opposite, isn't it?
Yeah, somehow it was like I said, I wanted something straightforward, heavy in your face, catchy hooks, catchy melodies, because that's important for me in our music. And of course, if you mean experimental in a way to try to certain types of writing a riff or something, maybe a bit, but it was mostly the opposite of experimental. It was supposed to be down to earth, honest, straightforward, heavy album somehow.
Yeah, it was very direct, really. If you think about it, like there wasn't that much material that died on the way there. There was more like of a, there'd be a demo flying around, then there'd be a few opinions, then things would be tweaked, but it was never like, oh, this whole thing is going to be scrapped. It was like improved on, it was tweaked for the better. Riffs were maybe changed around a bit to make them, I don't know, feel easier to listen to, less complicated, more melodic. I think that's kind of what happened, or rearranged for the better. There wasn't a lot of roadkill on the way, really. It was more a refinement of what was there, but it still stayed pretty direct. It was like, here's the instrumental, a few tweaks here, vocals, bring it on. This is us,
Hell of a lot of work, a lot of time put into it, but an efficient a lot of work by the sound of it.
Somehow, yeah.
But obviously, then you go to the studio, and ultimately, regardless of how many times you've done this, there are always going to be new challenges, particularly with this new material. So individually, please, we'll start with you, Mark. What in the studio, what areas did you find yourself challenged, and maybe you pushed yourself in a way that you didn't expect?
The that question can't be really answered because we record ourselves because I recorded I mean, the instrumental was recorded in my studio, and when I record, it's not like that I wrote material just by myself on a little computer and then went to a studio and then had to face the challenge of recording it with someone. It was like I knew what to expect because I'm writing on the same setup as I'm mixing and the final recordings and stuff like that. So of course there has been challenging guitar riffs and stuff like that, but it wasn't this scenario that it was like pre-written demos and then take them all to a studio to record, and then let's see how I'll get through it, and how can I challenge myself if you mean that. But because this is something we didn't have really. That was maybe more part of the vocal world, what they had before they were going to Cologne, because the vocals I didn't record. We recorded the vocals in Cologne, a different studio, so they had more scenario on recording it on their own and then going there. Maybe Ian has to answer that.
Well, the thing is, within the group dynamics for this album were interesting because we had a whole new idea of a song and the context of let's make songs, and at the same time we had the concept of simplifying and bringing things down to a T. I think the challenges itself that lay in this album were, first of all, lyrically, context-wise, to just be as direct and forward as possible. And then I think the sound compared to the last album has certainly improved a lot because, I mean, I remember there was so many times I'd get up in the morning and I'd just get a message from Mark that he basically sent at 6 a.m. going like, oh, I just went to bed. Here's another mix. I tried to do better, So there was so many attempts and trying to become better at what everyone's doing. That's certainly where the challenges lied, because it's with this motivation, we're pushing ourselves to the absolute furthest we could possibly go, and the results speak for itself in our eyes. So we can stand here and say we did the best we could possibly do until literally 9 o'clock in the morning of the 9th of January or whatever it was for another remastering session until nighttime. Mark driving home in the snow at 3 in the morning. Just like,
I was driving home in a snowstorm from Hamburg mastering because because it took a lot longer than we expected, and probably the record label hated us at that point more than any other band on their label. Because we retracted masters and mixes and stuff like that after the deadline and redid so many things because we didn't want to take any chances that we say afterwards it could have been better. We want that.
I have to ask, was there anyone kind of putting pressure on you, Mark, though, aside from yourself, maybe?
Not. I mean, just the timelines were the stress. Not that anyone said something. You have to do better. This has to be better. This has to be not that. So I just stressed myself, like Iain also mentioned, because we retracted the mix master because after it was done, I said, nah, I can do that better. We can do that better. It was too rushed because we put so much work and details into the songs that towards the end there was not much time for the final recording, mixing, tweaking kind of part, because we took this much time for writing and working on details and this much on the final stage. And I said, that's not enough. It has to, for me, if I'm mixing, it doesn't matter if I mix other bands or my own band. When I do a mix, I need time I do a mix and then I leave it to rest for some days, maybe a week, to not listen to it and then go back to it. I was talking to a mixing colleague and I said, I handed in the mix. It was like, didn't you just mix it yesterday? I said, yeah. how you do that? You have to leave it there for like a week or two. I said, yeah, but I don't have the time for that, you know. Then actually, and this one morning I was like, oh damn it, how am I gonna say that not everyone is gonna be completely freaked out? But I said, no, we can't do that. I have to redo it. I have to tweak it more and stuff like that. And yeah, somehow it worked. So I did the pressure myself, but there was no one particular who said you have to do it better or something, you know.
Ian, I have to ask from that your perspective, like, did you ever feel at any point that you kind of wanted to say to Mark, like, come on, speed up or anything like that?
Well, I knew that he was onto something each time there was a delay, so I never blamed him. It's just like the general, like, uh-oh, this means that someone's going to be angry. But I personally never held a grudge against him for that at all, because the results kind of speak for themselves. We've got an album now that where the songwriting took a long time, but got a lot of attention, and each song got the attention it deserves. So then, of course, the mix supposed to get the same attention as well. So
Yeah.
that's part of the art. So it needs to be done and needs to be good. So there's no what you say. I can't compromise there, because it's just what's got to be done, and it's what was good, and time told that it was the right decision.
I can tell you're both immensely proud of this record, but you should be. I've been listening to Caliban a long time as well. I'm of a certain age, so I've been listening to you guys for a long time, and this is an incredible, incredible step up in all departments. Particularly when you say you're referencing compared to the previous work, which I love as well. So I will say that, even if you don't necessarily love it, Mark. But of course, album comes out, work doesn't stop there. Album comes out and boom, it's tour time. You start in Germany on the 27th of April, end up over here in the UK in early in May, Bristol, Birmingham, London. So I have to ask you, has the UK always been a good place for you to come and play? And what would make these dates success in your eyes?
If the people have fun on the shows, that's the most important, It doesn't matter if there's like 4,000, 1,500 people or something, as long as they enjoy the show. Of course, we hope that the shows are going to be like packed, of course, obviously, but it has been a very long time, especially since we came to the UK. And so we're really looking forward, but yeah, to me, success is if mostly the people enjoy the shows. Basically, that is to me the main success.
Caliban shows are supposed to be a place where everyone can just be who they are. No one's forcing you to stick within genre boundaries. Caliban shows are for everyone. Come, enjoy yourselves, have a good time, hang out, be nice, enjoy heavy music, because hey, we got to say, there's heavy music is at an all-time peak. We got heavy bands all over the charts. We're not a niche anymore, And yeah, we're just looking forward to meeting all the guys in the UK and seeing all these people again after such a long time.
Cool, cool, cool. Can't wait for you to come over here. But speaking of success, obviously measures success in regards to album is different for everyone. How you measure success for your work will be different for each band member. So, Mark, I'll ask you first. What would success for Back from Hell look like for you?
Personally, if I look back half a year later and still enjoy every single song, because that is for me a success, because I'm very, very critical to myself, to what I do or to what we do. And of course, as a musician, you always have, when you release an album and time goes by, that you think this song could have been better, this we could have done better, and stuff like that. That always happens. So I'm not gonna lie to myself here, but I hope that at least that it's a success if I enjoy a vast majority later on. Like I still have albums, like of course when we are releasing something, I love everything about it, but then like sometimes sooner or later I look back and think, this song could have been better, or maybe this. And for some albums, for example, for the I'm Nemesis, I look back and I think still pretty much every song is great, and there's others where I might think there's 2 songs not as good, and maybe others where it's like 5 are not, So I hope a success for me is if I look back at this album half a year later, and pretty much all the songs, in my opinion, are still great songs, because sometimes you lose perspective. And this is for me personally a success. And the main success is nothing against you, but if the fans in the very end enjoy that, sometimes in a career you get bad reviews in some to certain magazines and stuff like that, but these are also just an opinion of one person, so we had albums where like some critics said, nah, that is crap and stuff like that, and they were the most successful with the fans out there. So of course I hope that every aspect of it, like every department enjoys it, but I hope that the fans can feel the honesty and the love we put into this album. And if people afterwards say to us, like, I listened to the album, I can hear you wanted to create something special, that would be a huge success for me.
Yeah, it's a really personal album. Like, I think I had a conversation recently with a friend of mine about it, and it's like talking about how I feel after this album's been done. It's like I could write an essay on every song. It's just like every song got the attention it deserved. Every song has something to say, and the biggest compliment, and to me a success story, is if someone could listen to every song and have a conversation with me about it and say, I can relate to what you're saying there. I know what you're talking about, and yes, I feel the same, So this album certainly goes out to people who are willing to speak about, their inner struggles and their problems and their things that they face through life. And we're open to have the chat, So from that side, that's certainly what success of the album would mean to me personally. Absolutely.
I have no doubt that you're going to get to experience, hopefully get to experience both sides of your views of what the album, or what would make it successful. It is a statement of an album. I know that sounds cliche, but ultimately this is who you are right now. This is 2025, and this is the release you have. And the work that you've done over the past few years, it's an incredible release. And it's not too long to wait, as we said already, April 25th by Century Media Records. Guys, we're out of time. So I kind of got to let you go. I really appreciate you giving me as much as you did. Good luck for the release.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for everything.
Thank you very much for watching. If you've enjoyed what you've seen, please consider hitting that like and subscribe button. It does help us out. You can find us at gbhbl.com and across all social media platforms. And if you really want to give us a bit of extra support, please consider buying us a cup of coffee over on our coffee page. Thank you.